Hi guys, and the last one for today, it's the Mangird, well actually XENNS or Mangird T Pro. This is the latest in the T series, started with the T Pro, sorry the T2, my apologies, and now the T Pro. The T Pro um, basically has continued with the same configuration of a dynamic driver plus 6 BAs. The change here has been to now make it two dynamic drivers in a quasi isobaric configuration. So it's gone from a 1 plus 6 to a 2 plus 6. Okay. In terms of accessories, XENNS never disappoints. Really nice packaging. It's very smart. It's very very nice, very classy. Good selection of tips. Brings a little carrying pouch, I guess, for the cable or whatever, some more accessories back there. I mean, honestly, for the $359, you cannot complain. The IMs come well packaged, they come well accessorized. Nice cable, really nice cable. Kind of reminds me of a cable from Let's Sure, the S12 a couple of years ago. So nice cable. The carrying case follows the motif of the actual packaging, so nice there as well. And the IMs themselves, beautiful pieces. I mean, resin, nicely developed shell there. Okay, that's it. I've still got the plastic on them. I haven't removed them. Actually, let me just. There you go. You guys are lucky. There we go. That's a beautiful looking faceplate there. Huh? Look at that. Very nice. Anyway, so in terms of its accessories, XENNS has ticked all the right all the right boxes rather. In terms of construction, again, same thing. All the right boxes ticked. Focus. There we go. All the right boxes ticked as well. In terms of its configuration, it's not an unusual configuration. We've seen it countless times being used today. In terms of the tuning, they have had a departure from let's say previous iterations of the T. I actually didn't bring out, I compared them, I listened to it, compared with the T and the T2, but I didn't bring it out into this comparison. I thought it just didn't make sense. If, however, you guys want me to do so, I can do that comparison. I can make it a little bit more detailed. What I will say is that I liked more the T2 over the T. The T was way too neutral, in my opinion. And the T Pro over the T introduces a nicer bass line, a nicer bass presence. Slams sound more incisive, more present, more alive. And I like I like also the way that forwardness that existed in the original T2 in terms of the mids, so the pinna gain has been it's not that it was bad or offensive or anything of the sort, no, but it has been just ever so slightly more controlled by the fact that we now have more bass presence. Now, am I saying that the Mangird Pro is a bass monster or anything of the sort? No, it's not a bass monster. It's just that it comparatively, it was a little bit, well, it is leaner than the Pro, obviously, because it doesn't have the same sort of bass. And then everything just sounded, the mids were tuned to be a little bit more forward. The pinna gain was around 1.6, 1.7K. So everything just sounded a little bit more forward. And it sounded good. It sounded fine. It was, nothing, honestly, nothing. I'm not criticizing it in any manner. I just prefer this later pinna gain of the Pro and peaking at about 2.5K. I just prefer that manner of sound because of that corresponding 100 hertz point where it corresponds on the 2 kilohertz or the mids rather point, and I just like the way they did it here. Anyway, I've brought out IMs not so much as to, oh, this one is better, that one is not better. I brought out the IMs that I found sounded similar. I found sounded or gave me a sound which was very similar to the T Pro. And what are these IMs? I've got a lot of different ones here. Some sharing the same configuration of two DDs in a isobaric configuration, one just being single DDs. There were other two DDs in isobaric configuration like the XINHS, but they just sounded too different and it just didn't make sense. But anyway, the ones that do sound very similar, that do have that same tactile bass like we are getting here in the T Pro, or what? The Meyer Audio CK-LVX CK2V A1 plus 4 plus 2, so a single DD, 4 BAs plus 2 microplanars. I've got here the QE's Astral 1 plus 6 incredible IM, honestly. I don't want to sound like I'm not giving the deserved value to other IMs, because there are plenty of other really good IMs, but an incredible IM, and probably the IM out of all of these here besides the T that actually sounds the closest to the T. And because of that reason, when the moment I listened to the T, I said, I've listened to this, I've heard this sounds like the Astral. And lo and behold, when I actually took them out and compared them, they are almost spot on. The other one here on this end here is the Yanyan Canon, also a OnePlus 6. Also has a tuning and a performance which is similar to the T Pro, but less so in the bass, more in the mids, up mids, and treble, so on. Really, really nice. And the final one is the Ziget, the Crescent, which is the only one here that kind of is down in numbers. It's a 2+2. It's a isobaric, so 1+6, 1+4+2, 1+6, 2+6, and this is a 2+2. So two BAs and 2 DDs in an isobaric configuration. And surprisingly, which it was a surprise, the other IM besides the Astral that when I was listening to, kind of I got vibes of, or rather gave me vibes, is the Ziget, the Crescent. The Ziget Crescent and the QENS Astral are the two IMs that sound the most similar to the Mangird T Pro. It is unreal how similar they are, and I think that already in itself will set the stage to where I believe that the Mangird T Pro is and what it is capable of doing. If you like the Astral, if you like the Crescent, if you think these two IMs are both highly capable in terms of their sonic performance, then you will definitely think that about the Mangird T Pro. It's honestly, it is as simple as that. Okay, there's no, I've heard people say that the T Pro is a bass monster and this and so. Well, everyone has different mileage, everyone has different tastes. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's a bass monster. Proportionally, I actually think that something like the Astral can at times give the perception of being a bigger bass monster than the Mangird. I actually found the Mangird to be pretty well mannered, and that's, I believe, down to the fact that it's using two 8mm drivers instead of two 10 like we get here in the Crescent. Even the Crescent sounds at times a little bit more bassy than that, but that's also the fact that it's also only got two BAs up top. You guys can ask me now, oh, but Tony, what about the Tensio Mirai stuff and so on and so forth? I didn't bring out the Tensio Mirai stuff. Again, the reason was just to not overpower this review and not make it boring and not make it too lengthy. I wanted to try and keep it to under 20 minutes, which is a promise that I've made to myself now. And if you guys want me to then make comparisons with any Tensio Mirai, I'll do so. I had initially brought out the H60 from ISN, but the H60 has got a completely different tuning style, not the same thing. I would say that the Tensio Mirai would probably be the 10th anniversary, would probably be the one that has a closer tuning to the XENNS overall, because of that tack style of the bass and the switches that you can also adjust for the bass and so on. And like I said, if you guys want me, I'll do that. I haven't really tried any other more of the more recent Tensio Mirai stuff, but if you guys really make a concerted request for it, I'll do my best. Anyway, let's jump into this. I'll just run the other ones by very quickly. The CK2V, very competent IM. I mean, when you take into account it's $189, it's half the price of the Mangird T Pro. Very competent IM, great bass. Without question, it's the IM here that once you've listened to all of the others, it will be the IM that will come across here as maybe the one that's got the most emphasized extension. Okay, and it's all down to the fact that it's got those microplanars. But overall, the CK2V is a very nice IM. Very, very nice. It plays phenomenally well. It's got a great big bass, very well executed tuck style, flat by 200, very mellow, relaxed pinna gain. Nice, really, really nice. Okay. On the opposite end, the Yanyan Canon Pro. $399, so a little bit more expensive. OnePlus 6. In terms of how the mids are done, I would say the mids kind of very similarish to the XENNS, the Mangird. Same kind of gain, same kind of extension, very, very similar. Obviously, this is just a single DD, and it's been tuned a little bit lower as well than the overall energy of the Mangird. So you can feel that on the bass it shies away sometimes, especially if the song has got that extra bass. So nice, but although the similarity of sound is there, it's a more mid-focused I would say here. Okay, this is going back here quickly to the CK2V. I would say the CK2V is a bright bassy, if that is anything that will maybe kind of be perceived or understood by you guys. All right, so that's those two. This leaves us here then with the closest sounding ones. And if you guys saw my review of the Astral and you saw my review of the Crescent, you know that I think that they are both excellent IEMs. The Crescent, the bass performance is surreal, more so compacted by the fact that we only have two BAs, which when you think of it, actually are doing miracles to keep up with the amount of bass that this thing is capable. And that's why at times I'd say, because it's 2 10mm instead of 2 8s, this has got definitely more bass than the Mangird Pro. And so when people say that the Mangird Pro is bassy, this is significantly more bassy. However, and I think it's down to just the way that they've held back and restrained, you don't feel it as much as you would think. It's got more bass, but it's and the mids and the treble and so on, they all graph about the same level of energy, but it's a more warmer kind of sound here. Okay, so it's a bassy, warmish kind of sound. All right. On the opposite end, we have the Astral, which has got insane amount of bass as well. Okay, insane amount of bass. Basically, it graphs the same as the Mangird. But it's got really good extension all the way out as well, and so I would say this is a bassy, brighter sound. Where does then the Mangird sit? It sits in kind of in the in-between. It hasn't got the same amount of bass as the Crescent. It hasn't got ultimately the same amount of extension as the Astral, because of the fact that the way that single DD is then matched with the rest of the BAs has been done. So this is kind of like the middle point. It's not that it does better than the Astral or better than the Crescent. It just does things in a more, let's say, more perhaps. I'm trying to find the correct word for you guys. It just picks up a wider scope of music that it will do well, without losing its composure, without losing its way of doing things in a well-mannered manner. And that's the thing I think that is important here to keep in mind with regards to the Mangird, the T Pro, is I never found it to be in any way an unmannered IEM, an IEM where peaks occurred or anything of the sort. So in that way, it very much followed the philosophy of the original Ts. The original Ts were always very well mannered. The original one, the T, not the T2, a little bit more lively, a little bit more energetic, which was very much welcome, at least by me. But be it one or the other, they were very well mannered. Nothing, no peaks, nothing that really kind of disturbed the experience of listening to music. And here they've taken that a step further. They've made it even more musical, while giving it that little extra amount of bass presence from those 2 8mm drivers, and then keeping those mids absolutely spotless. I mean, the 100 Hz point there corresponds to close to about 2 kHz. But, I mean, you could say 2 kHz, honestly. But the energy that you have below, compared to the energy that you have above, I mean, yes, definitely a nice, warmer presentation. Actually, if I'm going to be totally fair, I would say both of these have a warmer presentation, both of them. This one's slightly warmer than this because of the fact that it's two 10mm drivers and only 2 BAs. This one has got a warmer, slightly brighter presentation than the Mangird, because of the fact that it's only a single DD. The Canon Pro and the CK2V definitely sound brighter than the Mangird. That's unquestionable. The CK2V sounds brighter, but sounds more V, so it's got a great big amount of bass and a great big amount of treble extension. So it kind of sounds, comparatively, it sounds unbalanced. Let's put it that way. But that's me just, exaggerating, while the Yanyan Pro is like I said in its review, it's very it's the most polite out of all the Canons, and very much mid-centric, mid-focused. The bass is there just as a complement and not so much as a star of the show in any way, while that was something that was present in the previous versions of the Canon, especially in the original Canon and even in the Canon 2. But still, the reality is this: it's got the same sort of style of sound as the T Pro. And guys, and that honestly, that's basically very much all I can say about the T Pro. Bass is well executed. It doesn't linger. It's precise. It's clean. It's got enough weight when it has to have enough weight. Make Us Stronger from Ghost Rider. Phenomenal presentation of the Mangird T Pro. That song. I mean, really does it very, very well. Peeve, same thing. Control by Jeremy Orlander, which all of these are electronic music. But then if I go a completely different way and I start looking at, let's see. Let me see what I can show you. Well, some of the songs that I was telling you about earlier. The In the Hollow by Takedake, or Japanese Roots by Takedake as well. Very nicely done. Although I have to say that in the Astral it does edge it out ever so slightly. Merida by Refici as well. Very nice. Let me see. Something else. The Hanging Tree, James Newton Howard. Really nice. The Mangird T Pro does this perfectly. I had absolutely nothing to say about it. Nobody by Remind as well. Very nicely done. Let me see here. Another song that I really enjoyed listening to it on the Mangird. Unconditional by Soul Persona. Beautiful. Swept Away by Carol Dubach. In a Sentimental Mood by Cecile Norby. Twilight by Brian Simpson. Phenomenal. Although again, I have to admit that the Astral does just a little bit extra more detail there. Maybe it's just my ears. I am getting old and deaf. Analog by Soul Persona. Elephant by Carol Dubach. Again, beautiful. Right on Time by George Duke. High Strapping by Larry Carlton. Very nice. Get Down Saturday Night by Oliver Cheatham. Beautiful execution of the Mangird there. Cymbals, jump strikes, Nightbirds as well. Very nice. I mean, honestly, Deeper by Pete Velasco. Phenomenal bass line. There's honestly, there's very little or nothing, okay, that I listened to this and I said, no, I didn't enjoy it. It didn't do it nicely. It does a really solid job. Yes, it's a completely different tuning, but I got the sort of listening experience I got here from the Mangird T Pro is the sort of listening experience I got from something like the H60 when it came out, which is a 2+6, but it just is tuned in a different manner in terms of the bass. But you look at the H60 by ISN Audio, or you listen to it, and it just surprises you. And that's the thing that happens here, and it happened to me here a lot with the Mangird T Pro. It just surprised me continuously. I was thinking to myself, okay, here's a song that is not going to do it properly. Here But I'm Gone by Vanessa Fernandez. Phenomenal presentation. Phenomenal. I mean, guys, you can look afterwards. I'll have to obviously put all the details and so on and so forth in the description of all these videos that I've been doing. But you can check out all my playlists and so on and so forth if you haven't already downloaded them from before. And you can go and check out some of these songs and then get a better perception of what the T Pro is capable of playing with some of the songs that I've been mentioning. Anyway, guys, let me just quickly show you just the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Anyway, here are the graphs now for the IMs that I brought out for you guys to listen to or to hear my opinion about. Mangird T Pro, as you can see, basically nicely executed, basically flat by 200 Hz, nicely relaxed pin again. The 100 Hz point there corresponds to about 2 kHz. The energy below and above perfectly matched, nice extension past 10K. Really nothing that can be pointed as a negative aspect. Zigzag crescent. I mean, I think the graph speaks for itself. A little bit more bass presence, yes, definitely. Obviously, it's not 210, it's 2.8s in the Mangird, it's 210s on the Crescent. But the overall tonality that both of these IMs is capable of doing, and again, I'm just going to show you quickly again what I'm always mentioning. You take the 100 Hz point there, see how how it behaves there, and what's the energy that you have here. Now look at the Mangird. 100 Hz, see how it behaves there. See the energy you have behind. That's why they sound the same. Okay. Hope I'm being able to explain certain things here to you guys. Let's put here the astral now. Very similar. Again, the same situation. Let me take away this here. Look, 100 hertz, where it corresponds, the energy that you have there, the energy that you have below. You understand now why I say that the Mangird XENNS, the XENNS Mangird T Pro, the Crescent, and the QENS Astral sound the same? Because they all have this similar way of doing things. The only difference is, while the first two, the Mangird and the Crescent, sound a little bit more warmer, the QENS Astral has a little bit extra detail because of the bass being done only by a single driver. Although, and I repeat myself, truth be told, it can sound pretty bass heavy at times. Okay, and then we have the QENS, the CKL VX2V, which, yes, it does have a similar, again, performance in terms of the top end, but it's more pushed. It's not as smooth and relaxed, and so ultimately you feel more of a V shape. Although, again, you can take this point here that I mentioned, all right, of the 100 hertz, and see, and you would think, oh, okay, Tony, maybe it sounds the same. It doesn't really sound the same, because it's got microplanars. My apologies, it's got microplanars, the CK2V, and so this whole area here sounds way more intense than on the Mangird. And then finally the Yanyan Cannon, okay, which is this one here, the Cannon. And I'm just going to show you again that point of comparison I like doing. You see 100 hertz, okay, a lot more energy there. It's still got some good energy, and that's why they sound similar, but there's a lot more energy above. But ultimately, look, guys, these five, they sound the same or very similar for a reason, and it's not because I just decided to say so. It's because I actually took time to listen and listen. I mean, all the reviews I did today, they weren't done today on the fly. I've been listening to these IMs consistently over the last couple of weeks, you know, to reach this point. And some of them sometimes are done in front of others, but I've had like the Mangird T Pro, I've had it for, I don't know, weeks now. So I've had time to actually confirm what my initial impressions were, and to then come to these conclusions. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. You take care now. Bye-bye.